स्टूडेंट्स वी आर डिस्कसिंग जीके विच इज पार्ट ऑफ कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम। हम जीके कर रहे हैं किसी भी कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम के लिए और उसमें टॉपिक है पर्सनैलिटीज। एंड व्हाट वी हैव डन, अभी तक क्या किया हमने पार्ट 2 जीके पे है जिसमें डिफेंस वी हैव डन, लीग ऑफ नेशंस एंड यूएन डन, स्पेस, एंड वी आर ऑन द टॉपिक famous personalities, and famous personalities is a long topic. So we are on the third part of famous personalities. Those personalities are historical personalities, contemporary personalities, national personalities, as well as international personalities. And this topic will cover not only the GK, miscellaneous GK, but some kind of history also, books authors also, places also, and so on. So let us now move to Personalities Part 3. A great theoretical physicist of last century, Albert Einstein. He developed the theory of relativity, which almost challenged the Newton theory of gravitation. He was born in Germany but migrated to US because of World War II. He was a Jewish. Nobel Prize in Physics, but he got Nobel Prizes not for theory of relativity, for photoelectric effect. याद रखना एग्जाम के लिए. So these are the important point of Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein was a great man of last century who gave the theory of relativity that if we move with the speed of light, the time will slow. Time will start moving slower. That we will discuss in another slide, more about Albert Einstein and more about theory of relativity. What is required for the exam? We are discussing that only, students. So we are on a Geoffrey Chaucer. He is known as father of English poetry. ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮ ਚ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ, ਪੇਪਰ ਚ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ. He was the first writers in the Middle Ages when he wrote English instead of Latin and French. A poet, a author, and so on. Canterbury Tales is one of the longest poems of the world, which means that when people used to go for pilgrimage, ਤਾਂ ਰਸਤੇ ਚ ਸਟੋਰੀਜ਼ ਸੁਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਸ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਲੈਕਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ Canterbury Tales, and it was written by Geoffrey Chaucer, father of English poetry. A narrative in which pilgrims travel to Canterbury Cathedral and tell the stories along the way. He used the real life characters, humor, and vivid storytelling man. So that was a contribution of Geoffrey Chaucer in 14th century AD. Next is Herodotus. Herodotus is known as father of history. Greek, 5th century, Herodotus, father of history, called by Cicero. Histories on account of Geo-Persian wars. He wrote so many things about rise of Greece and its wars with the neighboring countries, particularly with Persia. So that is the reason that Herodotus is known as the first man who wrote the history in chronological order. So that is required for you as a student in the competitive exam. The father of history kaun hai, who said this, and what is the name, and he was from which country, and so on. Now we will move to the next. And that was a golden period of Greek growth, as we discussed Aristotle, Plato, Epicurus, Herodotus, and so on. Leonardo da Vinci, a great painter, again of this period. He was a product of Renaissance movement. Italian. His famous painting Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, very famous and very valuable paintings of that period, where he used the multiple colors. And Last Supper means the last food of the day served to Jesus Christ. So that is the Last Supper, and he was a famous anatomical drawing. He used to draw a drawing according to geometry. Contribution of art, science. He was artist as well as he was the master of engineering, scientific designs, lines, and so on. So that was a Leonardo da Vinci. He was Italian, product of Renaissance movement. Renaissance movement means which happened in Europe in 15th, 16th century. And this means how to rediscover yourself for the betterment, how to change the society for the betterment, growth, setting up new, rational, logical, growth-minded mindset. And his famous work, Mona Lisa and Last Supper. Next is Louis XVI, the French king, the last French king who was captured and assassinated by the revolutionaries when French Revolution occurred. Louis XVI, last king of France, French Revolution. So why French Revolution occurred? It started in 1789, completed in 10 years, in 1799. And the revolutionaries, they captured the king and their family and executed them, killed them. Why? Because there was social inequality. Huge gap between nobility, clergy, and the common man was called third state. Financial crises were going on because France faced massive debts, wars, taxation on common man. And the thinkers like Jean Rousseau, Voltaire, inspired the thought of liberty, equality, democracy and fraternity. So French Revolution to asi words nahi aaye. That was a step towards modern democracy. And the king was executed. Who was executed? The last French king who was spending luxury, super luxury life, sitting in the palace without taking care of his people and putting the taxes, and people then woke up and then captured him and his family and ultimately killed him. And that started, inspiration came from Rousseau, who was a great writer, Voltaire, and so on. Now we will move to the next. Thomas Macaulay, English historian, civil servant, who came to India and introduced English system in India 1835. It is written here. Macaulay Minutes on Education. We are following still Macaulay system of education in India. Promoted the Western education and English language in India. And he wrote the history of England from accession of James II. So that was the man who introduced the modern education, Western education in India. So time has come when we should Indianize the education. That was the backbone of Indian growth in medieval and ancient time. So let's go to the next personality. Salman Rushdie, Sir Salman Rushdie, Indian-born British author who wrote Midnight Children, a famous book, and that on which he got Booker Prize also. Booker Prize, the literature award. Then Satanic Verses, then Moore's Last Sigh. And he is very radical writer. That was the reason that he was banned in many countries. Particularly, he wrote against the feeling and other things of Islamic world. So he is not being liked and rather he is hated. That was the reason that few years back he was attacked by someone in US, and during that attack he lost his one eye. Won the Booker Prize for Midnight Children. Knighthood Ship, and so on. So that is a Salman Rushdie, Indian-born British English author, radical, controversial. The name of his books were 1, 2, and 3. Abul Fazl, Persian scholar. He was in the court of Akbar, one of his 9 gems. He wrote Akbarnama, the history of Akbar and his rule. Aini Akbari, detailed account of administration of the Mughals and one of the 9 Ratnas of Akbar's court, known as Abul Fazl. Contemporary of Akbar, was in the court of the Akbar, the king. Alexander the Great, PC, king of Macedonia, teacher Aristotle. So Aristotle taught Alexander for 5 years. And Aristotle learned about the warfare, diplomacy, negotiation, decision making, ethics, politics, and how you can win the war by strategy from Plato, his teacher. So Plato was a teacher of Alexander. He conquered the Southwest Asia, Egypt, and creating one of the largest empires of ancient world, and founded the city of Alexandria in Egypt. But he attacked India in 326 BC and fought a battle of Hydaspes. Battle of Hydaspes. That is in Jhelum River against King Porus. Though he was able to defeat the Porus, but he was quite influenced by the bravery of Indians and Porus and decided to go back because of this. And then the second reason was because of the harsh climate of India. And then he died in Babylon. So he died at the age of 33 and buried in Babylon, Mesopotamia, Iraq. Next, his name is Amitav Ghosh, a contemporary writer. Contemporary means still he is alive. He write like this, English language novelist. His famous work is The Hungry Tide. And he is more of writing books on Sundarban, environment and human life. So that is Amitav Ghosh, a writer from India, from Bengal, who has got the international recognition. Then Aryabhatta, mathematician. Gupta period, at a time of Chandragupta II. This is AD now. We are talking of 5th century AD. Question on that, किस time से Chandragupta II? Explained the rotation of Earth, made significant contribution to the calculation of pi, very important. He was able to find the value of pi almost 1500 years back. And first Indian satellite is named after him as a tribute, as a respect. In 1975, India launched Aryabhatta, 1975. So these are the important points of Aryabhatta. But if question comes, he was a great Indian mathematician plus astronomer.